Alright, now we've completed the first layer, and by that again I mean this first vertical facing layer, and our goal will be to build the second layer all around, which will look a little something like this. So 2 vertical facing layers. The real trick is that our goal is to insert each edge between its 2 respective centers. Alright, so how do we do that? So I'm just going to build centers first. Alright, now that we've got all of these first layer down, the goal is to bring each edge into its slot. This is where we want the edge to end up, between the green and orange faces, because that's what solved looks like. But we can't just move that in because it moves everything out. And so that's the real trick behind what we're going to be doing from here on out with solving the Rubik's Cube. In order to build stuff now, we're going to have to break stuff. And it's going to be pretty substantial. And so it's going to require a little bit of algorithm, but I hope I can make it a little bit more intuitive. The first goal is to identify a edge piece with no yellow on it, because the yellow is this top layer. So we're looking for non-yellow colors because we've already dealt with all of the white ones. So we're only looking for non-yellow edges. And we want to align the face that's not in this upper layer, this color, with its respective center. So this one is aligned correctly, this one's aligned correctly. These two aren't aligned correctly, but they can't be right now because they're stuck inside. I'll deal with those later. First, how do we deal with a case just of an edge in the U layer that doesn't have yellow and insert it where we want it to be? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to first bring it over its center so that it forms a sort of T shape upside down. Then we're going to move it away. And the way we're going to move it away is we're going to move it away from both of the centers of its colors. So this one has green and orange, so we're going to move it one away from the green one because it moves it away from this one as well. If I moved it one away this way, it would still be over one of its 2 colors. So move it this way. Then we're going to do the sequence of moves R, U prime, R prime, R, U prime, R prime. And from here, we've got a little bit of an angle shift that I want you to focus on. We're going to do an F move. And what the F move does is it creates this square here. This square of solved pieces. Ignore this for a second. It creates this square of solved pieces. And our goal now is to keep the square of solved pieces solved. So how do we do that? When we create this square with F, we're going to move it out of the line of fire. Out of the line of fire with an R prime. And now when we restore this to the white face with an F prime, we can then do an R prime to bring it back. So that's how you insert it. Let's look at this case now. We have this edge that's in the U layer. We've aligned it to create the T. Ignore this. It doesn't matter. It's just this upside down T we're looking for. We're going to move it one away. Notice not this way because this is one of its 2 colors. So one to the right. And now we're going to do the sequence of moves. L prime, U, L. Now we're going to create the square on the left with an F prime. We've created the square. Now we want to move the square out of the line of fire. And if this is the F layer, we want to move it out of the line of fire, the front line. We're going to move it backward with an L. Then we're going to do the F to bring this block back to the white face. And then we're going to bring this back up with an L prime. Next we have this case. We need to create the T. Then we need to move it away from both of these centers. So that's a U prime. Then we're going to do the same algorithm, L prime, U, L, create the square with an F prime, move it out of the front line with an L, bring this white back to its face, and then bring this whole white back to its face with an L prime, or L. I get notation mixed up sometimes too. Alright, and the last one we have is this case here. We're going to move it away from both of these faces. L prime, U, L, create the square. Ignore this, it doesn't have to be here. The only thing that needs to be here is the square. And then we're going to move it out of this front face with an L. We're going to bring this back to the white face. And then we're going to bring this back to the white face. And boom, we've got 2 layers of the cube solved. I'll run through this with a little bit more of a setup example this time, so forgive me if I skip past a little bit of this. Alright, so what happens in the case where all of the edges are solved into their correct slot, except for one where the edge is flipped? You can't exactly do any number of these U moves to bring this into the green face where we want it. So instead what we have to do is we have to take this out. And how we're going to do that is the right sexy move. Then we're going to change it, since this is in the front now. We're going to rotate this way, and we're going to do the left sexy move. So again, we're going to initiate this with the right sexy move with the unsolved corner and edge pair in our front right column. We're going to do the right sexy move, and now we're going to focus on inserting this corner back into this slot. But we can't just keep doing this, because if we keep doing this same set of 6 sexy moves, all of the pieces reset to their original state at the start of those 6 sexy moves. So we actually have to do the left sexy move with the corner in the front left column in order to insert this corner without inserting this edge, a new case. And from here we can bring this to create the T again. From the front, we'll move it away from both of the centers. We'll do R, U prime, R prime. We'll create the square. We'll move it out of the front lane into the back with R prime. We'll bring this back to the front, or to the down layer, the white layer. And then we'll bring this back to the white face. Again, that is your first 2 layers. This was the hardest part of the solve for sure. It's the part I still struggle with the most, and I know the top solvers have the most creativity on this part. But with the most basic and straightforward approach to this is the algorithmic way, and this is about as algorithmic and simple as it can get. So I hope this helped. Happy cubing.